factoring review, we could always use some review of factoring, right? All right, first thing we're going to factor is with a GCF, a greatest common factor, which you should always check for a greatest common factor first. So if you look at number one here, 5x squared plus 5, what do those have in common? Well, they don't both have an x, but look at the regular numbers, 5 and 5. Okay, we can factor out a 5. Kick out a 5, and then really we're dividing these by 5. It's like the opposite of distributing. So 5 times x squared is 5x squared, and 5 times positive 1 would give you that plus 5. And we can't go any further with that. That's it. So let me write on there. Video. I've got all I to do. Seriously, how many times am I going to do that? All right, number 2. 10x and 15x cubed. Now they both have an x. And thinking about the numbers 10 and 15, 5 is a factor of both of those. So we're going to factor out a 5x. 5x times 2 would give us the 10x. And 5x times 3x squared would give us that 15x cubed. Right? If we distribute, we'll come back to the original problem. 3ab squared minus 6a squared b. 3 and 6, they have a 3 in common. Now, do they both have an a? Yeah. They both have at least a to the first, and they both have at least b to the first. So we're going to be knocking off one of the a's and knocking off one of the b's. So 3 times 1 would give us the 3. We already have the a handled. We have b squared, we have a b out here, so we need one more b. Minus 3 times 2 is 6. A times a would give us the a squared, and we already have the b handled. So this would be our final answer on that. 3x squared minus 6x minus 30. They all have a 3 in common, which leaves us with x squared minus 2x minus 15. Now, that's factoring out the greatest common factor. This leads us perfectly into the next section. When you have a trinomial, you are looking for numbers that multiply to equal the last number and add up to the middle number. Now, what I say is when the last number is negative, then they're really going to subtract to the middle number. So I'm thinking in my head, what factors of 15 are 2 apart from each other? So you got 1 and 15 or 3 and 5. Which set is 2 apart? The 3 and the 5. Now we're going to make them add up to negative 2 because the only way we're going to multiply to negative 15 is a positive times a negative. So our 2 options are positive 3 and negative 5 or negative 3 and positive 5. Which set would add up to the negative 2 would be the positive 3 and the negative 5. So we have the 3 on the outside. We'll have the x plus 3 and the x minus 5. Now the order of the parentheses does not matter. You just need to make sure your minus is with the 5, your plus is with the 3. That's it. All right, number 5. You look at the last number here, it's positive 2. If it's positive, they either both need to be plus or both minus. So they're going to add up to 3. The only factors of 2 are 1 and 2, and they happen to add up to 3. So it would be a plus 1 times a plus 2. Over here, we're looking for factors of 35 that add up to 12. It's probably the first 2 numbers you think of, 5 and 7. So they'd have to both be plus. Y plus 5 times y plus 7. They multiply to 35. They add up to 12. Let's see what else we got. Oh, we got 8 of them here. Fantastic. Numbers that multiply to 25 add up to 10 would be 5 and 5. So you could write z plus 5 times z plus 5. And when you have the same thing repeated like that, you write that as, z plus 5 squared. Okay, all right, it's doable. Last number is plus. They have to both be the same sign, but the middle number is negative. So do you know any positive numbers that when you add them together, it comes out negative? No, of course. So these would both have to be minus. 2 numbers that multiply to 40 and add up to 14 would be 4 and 10. Let's see what else we've got over here. Gonna scooch it down. Z squared plus 9z minus 36. Now when it ends in minus, this is our first case where that's happening on this slide, then it has to be one of each. It has to be a positive times a negative. Z plus, Z minus. They have to be this far apart. Yes, they are going to add up to 9, but initially we're looking for numbers that are 9 apart. Now, the bigger number always goes with whatever symbol is written first. So if it adds up to positive 9, that means it's going to be plus our bigger number minus our smaller number. So the factors of 36, 1 and 36, no, they're not 9 apart. 2 and 18, no. 3 and 12 are 9 apart, so plus 12 minus 3. There's also 4 and 9 or 6 and 6, but we used the 3 and the 12. When you have two things that you can square root, x squared, 9. There's a minus in between them. If you remember, that's called the difference of squares. And when you factor that, you square root them both. You put one with a plus, one with a minus. Square root of x squared is x. Square root of 9 is 3. X plus 3 and x minus 3. Now, it has to be the difference for squares. So if you look at 11, x squared, perfect square, 100, perfect square, but it's got addition between them. That makes it not factorable. There is no such thing as the sum of squares. It's only difference of squares. Cubes, totally different story. Totally different. Here we go. 9x squared minus 25. I can square root both of those. There's a minus in the middle. Square root of 9x squared, 3x. Square root of 25, 5. 3x plus 5, 3x minus 5. It's just too much fun. Ooh, this is where it gets a little more exciting. I actually like these problems. Always look for greatest common factor first. On number 13, there is no common factor. Then we have this number in front of the x squared. We're going to multiply the first number with the last number. 2 times 7 is 14. And just like before, we're looking for factors of 14 that add up to 15. So there's a long way that you could factor by grouping. Here's the way I prefer it. Set it up like it just said, like we're just looking for 14, like x plus 1 and x plus 14. The only difference with these ones is we're going to have to try to divide both of these by the a, the number in front. Now if we can't do them, simplify as much as you can, and then whatever you end up with in the denominator, you just bring to the front. So this becomes 2x plus 1. And this other side, 14 divided by 2, it divides evenly, it just becomes x plus 7. That's it. So here, no common factor. 3 times negative 12 is negative 36, so it's got to be 1 plus, 1 minus. Initially, our minus will have our bigger number. They're 15 apart. Factors of 36, are 5 apart. Factors of 36 that are 5 apart would be 9 times 4. So it'd have to be minus 9 plus 4, but we have to try to divide by that number in front, the 3. 4 over 3, you can't do anything, so we just kick the 3 to the front. 3x plus 4. 9 divided by 3, that's just 3. X minus 3. All right, we look for a common factor. I see they're all even and they all have an x, so we can kick out 2x, which leaves us with 9x squared plus 11x plus 2. I'm going to move. Now, we'll ignore the 2x till the end. 9 times 2 is 18, positive. You have to add it to 11, that would be 9 and 2. So we could say x plus 9, x plus 2. We have to try to divide them by the number in front. Again, we're ignoring the 2x. That's our greatest common factor. We'll just hang on to that. We're going to try to divide it by the 9. So 9 over 9 is 1. 2 over 9, you can't do anything, so we'll just bring the 9 to the front. 9x plus 2. And then don't forget about our greatest common factor of 2x out in front. All right, 2 more of these. No common factor. 7 times 3 is 21. Positive 21, so they both need to be the same sign. If they add up to negative 22, they'd have to both be minus. X minus, that's 1 and 21. I started writing it, sorry. 1 times 21 is 21. 1 plus 21 is 22. You have to try to divide it by the number in front, the 7. I don't like how that selection is showing up there. 1/7 can't do anything. Keep the 7 in the front. 7x minus 1. 21 divided by 7 is 3. We're almost getting too good at these. 54, 27, and 6, they have a common factor of 3. 3 times 18, 3 times 9, and 3 times 2. 18 times negative 2 is negative 36, so it has to be one of each. They have to be 9 apart from each other, which would be 12 and 3, so minus 12 plus 3. We have to try to divide them by the number in front, 18. Now, neither of these divide evenly with 18, but like I said before, if you can simplify it, you have to simplify first. 3/18 simplifies to 1/6, and then we'll kick the 6 to the front. 12 and 18, 6 goes into both of those. 12 twice, 18 thrice. We'll kick 3 to the front. So we have the 3, the, first set of parentheses is 6x plus 1. The second set of parentheses is 3x minus 2. Sweet. Last thing we're going to talk about is the difference, or the sum and difference of cubes. We already did the difference of squares. 9x squared minus 25. In fact, I think we did that exact problem. It's 3x plus 5 and 3x minus 5. It's similar with the perfect cubes. You cube root each one. Cube root of x cubed is x. Cube root of 27 is 3. So you just write it normally. Keep the same sign initially. The second one, you square that first term. X times x is x squared. You change the sign. Now it's going to be minus. You multiply them together. 3 times x is 3x. The last sign is always plus, and then you square the last term. 3 squared is 9. So cube root them, then square it, change the sign, multiply them together, plus square the last term. 64 x cubed, 125. They're both perfect cubes. Cube root of 64x cubed is 4x. Cube root of 125 is 5. Keep the sign the first time. You square the first term. 4x times 4x is 16x squared. Change the sign. Multiply them together. 4x times 5 is 20x. Plus, square the last term. 5 times 5 is 25. 4 terms. We're going to have to use grouping on this one. You can use grouping with those trinomials. You can split that middle term, but that's too much work for those. So this is 4 terms. You can split it right away. Greatest common factor on the left side is x squared, which leaves us with x plus 7. Here we can factor out a negative 3, which leaves us with x plus 7. Notice they both have x plus 7 in parentheses. That's going to be part of our final answer. The other part of our final answer is this common factor on the outside. X squared minus 3 times x plus 7. Now something you always want to double check. Your one with the squares, see if you have a difference of squares there, which we don't, but they like to get you with that one. So that's it for our factoring review. Try some out on the H-dubs.